Hi friends, this is Mandy from Chapel Forge. Today we're going to do a quick vlog and I'm just going to talk about how we fit exercise into our day as a busy family with 3 kids, homeschooling, running a homestead, you know, preserving food, all the things that we do. I'm often asked, you know, how do you fit in like 30 minutes of exercise every day, or how do you have time for lifting weights or doing yoga or doing whatever? So I have 5 tips today about how to get exercise in as a family, especially if you have kids. So my first tip is to figure out who likes what. So in our family, I enjoy like a good solid hike. If I wasn't carrying a baby on my back, I mean, I love like rocky, rough, rugged terrain type things. One of my goals is to hike the Appalachian Trail at some point. I mean, I'd love to hike the entire thing from Florida to Maine or whatever. And I need to do a bunch of research on that, but that's gonna be down the road. I'd love to once our kids are big enough to like, we all go, but we'll see. That's just a cool goal I have. Figure out who likes what. So I like to go for hikes. Bud and Zad like to ride bike. The babies, so 1 and 3, Zuzu is usually on my back in a carrier or sitting in the stroller. And Jameson, at this point, he usually bounces between the stroller, a carrier, walking. He, you know, it changes 50 times. In a 30-minute walk, it could change 7 times. So figure out who likes to do what and then get equipment accordingly. Now, I totally understand that biking, for instance, can be really expensive to get into. We've gotten bikes from yard sales. We have a really great bike shop. We're in Lancaster County, so in Strasburg, we have a really great bike shop called Bare Bones, which Bud, my 12-year-old, has talked about on his channel, Bud's Outfitters. He's given him a shout out on there. Tim is just awesome. So whatever sport it is that you're into, you know, find a trusted person in your community that is fair, that does good work, and that you can just trust to take care of that kind of equipment, because it is a big investment. So Bud and Zad at this point have bikes. Jamie has a little bike, but you know, we're not going to take the bike on the trail for now because he would decide 5 minutes in that he's done. Goals for us in that realm is to get me a bike and get us a little trailer that we could pile a couple kids in the trailer, and maybe, you know, somebody rides on the bike seat on the back of Zad's bike, that kind of thing. So figure out what you like. If you all like skiing, I don't know, I mean, that is an expensive hobby to get into, or swimming, whether, you know, so like we have a pool, an in-ground pool. Zad and Bud and Jamie, for that matter, really enjoy swimming. It's not a huge pool. I mean, you could definitely swim laps, and we've done that before. So figure out what it is that you really enjoy. Obviously, just going for walks is the cheapest. So if you're sort of just figuring out what your family exercise routine is going to be, going for walks is, I mean, pretty much free. Depending on where you live, you can just walk out your front door. Like if you live in a neighborhood, you can just walk out your front door and go for a walk. If not, like where we live, so we can walk our property. So we have a 3-acre homestead, and I have certainly walked this homestead a million times, just circling, which is good because I almost always have a feel for what's happening. I know what plants are coming up. I know how all the, I mean, obviously I do the animals every day, but it's a great way for me to check fence line, things like that. But if I'm not walking here, then we have several parks close that we can go to that we all really enjoy. One we've been going to lately, as we're trying to soak up the last bits of the warm weather, is has a creek. So we can kind of like go swimming in the creek / just creek stomp kind of thing. So that leads me into my number 2 thing, is figure out what resources you can use locally to figure out where the places are that you might enjoy. So we have a rail trail that runs, I mean, there's several places we can access our rail trail. And if you don't have that, I don't know how common that is. Basically, they took the railroad bed that used to be there and turned it into, you know, a path where you can bike or walk or do whatever. So we have lots of places to access that. It's just a very straight, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's boring. I mean, you are in nature, but it's definitely not as exciting as if you're like doing a wandering kind of trail. There are apps you can use, like All Trails. You can download that on your phone or check it out on the browser, like on your on your laptop or your desktop, and see what's around. Super interesting. I love the All Trails app because it tells you how long it is, exactly. Most of them are very detailed. Like here's the trailhead, you access it from here. A lot of people leave comments, so if there's little idiosyncrasies on that trail, they'll tell you about them. The other thing you can do is look at your local conservancy. So we have the Lancaster Conservancy. There's a lot of great information there you can kind of access. We have a lot of cool places where like there's historical buildings, or so like if you're a homeschooler or an unschooler, and you're looking for opportunities like that, you can do a lot of learning even when you go on your walk, which leads me to my number 3. If you have little kids and you're trying to figure out how to fit in your exercise with little kids, make a scavenger hunt. So like the other day, we were going for a walk. It was me, Bud, Jamie, and Zuzu. So 12, 3, and 1. We had the stroller, and I had Jamie get out of the stroller, and him and Bud were trying to find 10 colors in nature, which was really cool. I mean, they found reds and purples, and so we're at the end of, by the time this video comes out, I think we'll still be in September, maybe beginning of October, but nonetheless, even more colors. You know, there's oranges, yellows, reds, pinks, purples, whatever. There's still flowers. There's leaves falling, things like that. So lots of colors. And you can make your scavenger hunt as like formal or informal as you want. So, you know, if you're fancy, you can print a little piece of paper, and have them kind of check it off as they go. Or maybe they just have a little list and they just kind of generally follow it. If you're like me and super willy-nilly, you just make it up on the fly as you go. So like, how many birds can we find, or what animals do we see, things like that. My kids love scavenger hunts. Bud has always, since he was little, loved scavenger hunts. Obviously Jamie's getting into it. He thinks that's super fun. And, you know, you can take it one step further. And when you go on your walk, you know, especially if you have a stroller with you, take a picnic lunch. So like, walk 30 minutes out, find a nice spot, whether you put a blanket out or maybe there's a picnic table, depending on where you are, and have your lunch and then hike back. I mean, that's an hour. You fit in your hour of exercise. You got lunch in. You got school in. I mean, going for a walk just has so many benefits outside of like the physical health benefits. It's literally like my favorite part of the day is when we like pack up and go for a walk. So my number 4 tip is have the right supplies. So we sort of talked about this number 1, like with biking, you want to make sure you have all the right safety equipment and helmets and things like that. But more basic things is, you know, have a carrier that's comfortable. So if you're carrying a baby around, I love the Tula. We have 2 Tulas. Sometimes Jamie goes in a Tula. Zuzu almost always does. Or we have a double stroller. So I have like the stroller where they sit in front of each other, which I really like, because I'm not quite as wide. So if we're on a trail, usually I only take the stroller if we're doing like a stone or a paved trail. You know, we're not wide. We're not taking up a bunch of space, because I don't know, I just feel annoying if I'm like taking up the whole trail. But if we're doing like a hike, so I always use the term like going for a walk, we're on like stone or paved. If we're going for a hike, then usually we're taking the Tula, we're taking a backpack carrier, whatever, so we can haul children around that are not going to be able to walk for 30, 60 minutes or whatever. I try to keep our walks, for the most part, at the ages that my kids are, or at least my littles are, try to keep it like 30 to 60 minutes. I think for me, that's a good exercise goal. For Bud, it's a good exercise goal. He's the 12-year-old. And for the littles, it's a good amount of time. They're not stuck in the carrier for hours on end, or stuck in a stroller for hours on end or whatever. Something else too, as far as equipment goes, is have good water bottles. So obviously, I guess you could just like pack up your little plastic water bottle and take it along, but get a nice reusable water bottle. You know, there's so many. We prefer Yetis. That's just what we like, and we like the style of them. But there are much more affordable options. You can get like Arctic, or there's just like Walmart like versions, and they're all fine. So pick a water bottle that you enjoy, and make it fun for the kids. You can get like packs of stickers on Amazon, or maybe even like Dollar Tree or the dollar store or something, and let them decorate their water bottle. So my water bottle has lots of fun stickers, some for local places that we've been to, or just cool stickers I've found along the way. And help them, you know, they can make their bottle unique. Maybe everybody gets a different color and they can decorate it, and it kind of makes it fun. So I always make sure before we leave that, you know, everybody's water bottles are filled, and that they make it to the car. So many times we've left and they're filled and they're still sitting on the island. not very helpful. So make sure that the water bottles go along, and that you have the strollers in the car, or the backpack carriers or baby carriers, or whatever you're doing. Have all of that stuff. As far as carrying the water bottles, because I know that's always a question, like, well, I'm mom and I always wind up carrying all the water bottles. If they're at that age where they're probably not going to carry their water bottle, I always feel like taking the stroller is just the best option, because you have the basket on the bottom and you can put them in there. You can also just load them in a backpack. I mean, I know that's a little bit of extra weight, but it's also more exercise. So, you know, you can load the water bottles in the backpack, put them in the bottom of the stroller. If they're of an age where they want to carry it, they can carry it, you know, and if it's very personalized to them, they might enjoy carrying it because it's fun. It's theirs. It's their favorite color. It's got their stickers on it that they love, or whatever. So that's tip number 4. And then my last one, tip number 5, is to track your steps. So ever since Zad's heart attack, which was almost 10 months ago now, shortly after the heart attack, we got Apple Watches. And you don't have to get an Apple Watch necessarily. We just went that route because we wanted to have the ability to text and call and whatever from our watches. But you can get very cheap, just kind of step counters on Amazon or wherever. And that really helps motivate you, or at least it really motivates me. I know that it motivates Zad and Bud. They all, you know, they have watches too. So I'm always watching, like, I have my move, exercise, and stand set at those goals, and we share our goals with each other. So like my best friend and I share ours, my sister-in-law, you know, Zad, Bud, we all kind of share our goals, and there's some like accountability level there. You know, you want to try to meet your goals because everybody else is maybe meeting their goals. So you don't have to get that into the weeds with it. You don't have to like compete and all of that kind of thing. You can just do it for yourself. So if you just want to get a really simple step tracker, decide how many steps you want to hit each day, 10,000, 12,000, whatever it is. And set those goals for yourself. So, you know, when it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon and you've been sitting on the couch all day and you're like, holy crap, I need to burn 500 calories, you know, it's a little bit of motivation. And for me, I'm always trying to meet my goals every single day. And maybe that sounds a little bit excessive, but it helps keep me moving. And at this point in our weight loss journey, in our health journey, or whatever, you know, I am motivated to move. I want to move. My body craves movement at this point. And so having the watch is just a really great way to stay on top of that. So those are my 5 tips. Know where to research, know who enjoys doing what, have the right equipment, make it fun with a scavenger hunt or something like that, and have a way to keep up with your goals. So I hope that this encourages you to get outside, even in the winter, you know, put on the coats and go do it anyway, or even when it's hot, you know, go do it anyway. Obviously be safe about all these things. Don't like get frostbite or heat exhaustion, but you know, just because there's like a few raindrops, that doesn't mean that we can't get outside. So if you want some really great motivation about getting outside, the 1,000 Hours Outside podcast is a podcast that I recently stumbled on and love. She has a lot of great tips about how to just do things as a family, stay motivated as a family, and just get outside. And I love it. So you can follow along with her on there. For other great tips about how we have really just made this journey our life now post heart attack, subscribe to us here on YouTube. You can follow me on my blog at Chapel Hill Forge. And I hope that you enjoyed this vlog style, and we'll see you next time.